Welcome to another episode of Well-Adjusted Mama. This is a podcast dedicated to educating and empowering women from preconception, pregnancy, birth, and through early motherhood on wellness lifestyle. I'm your host, Dr. Laura Brayton, and I'm a maternity pediatric chiropractor as well as a mother who has hand-selected experts in natural holistic healthcare specialties to shine light on options and choices during this exciting phase of a woman's life. Today, I focus on the topic with my two guests on getting emotionally prepared for motherhood. And I had the honor of interviewing Cedric Bertelli as well as Andrea from the Emotional Health Institute, utilizing a technique called emotional resolution. So Cedric Bertelli is a recognized expert in emotional resolution, which is a revolutionary approach to emotional healing that has transformed the lives of countless individuals. He's the founder and director of the Emotional Health Institute, and he has dedicated his career to helping people overcome stress, anxiety, depression, PTSD, and other negative emotions using powerful tools and techniques. After a drastic career change, Cedric began his journey into emotional resolution in 2009 in his home country of France. Since then, he has honed his expertise and developed a deep understanding of how emotions function in the human psyche. His work has touched the lives of people all over the world. At EHI, Cedric and his team provide training and education to mental health professionals, coaches, and educators, helping them to integrate emotional resolution into their practices. In addition, Cedric works directly with clients, providing individualized support and guidance to help them overcome emotional challenges and improve their overall well-being. With a passion for empowering individuals to take control of their emotional health, Cedric has transformed the lives of countless individuals, and his expertise continues to drive innovation and progress in the field of emotional healing. My second guest is Andrea, and she's the co-creator of EmRes Peaceful Pregnancy, a program that was developed based on knowing that bonding and communicating with baby can start during pregnancy, and that every emotional stressor and physical discomfort brought on by pregnancy is actually an opportunity to experience healing on both the conscious and subconscious levels. The program includes EmRes sessions to reduce stress and ease physical discomfort, guided bonding sessions to open up channels of communication with baby, and birth preparation sessions to prepare the family and the baby for the baby's birthing day. It is an innovative approach to honoring the spiritual and transformative journey of pregnancy. Andrea's background is reflective of her own experiences of healing and transformation. Formerly trained as an occupational therapist with specialization in mental health, she's also obtained certification in body talk and emotional resolution, as well as developed her own intuitive healing process. She's a mother of two amazing children and recently said goodbye to the 9-to-5 job to be home full-time with her children and to pursue her vision of supporting the parent-child relationship, starting in the prenatal stage and beyond, using her dynamic experience. She is learning that her children are her greatest teachers, and every moment of tension is an opportunity to heal. You can follow her journey EmResing her way through motherhood at her website, andrealist.podia.com. Hi, Cedric. Welcome to the show. I'm very excited to have you on today.
Hi, Laura. Thank you so much for having me. Very happy to be here.
Me too. So this is going to be one of my favorite topics. I love anything that talks about emotions and empowering people to do the work that we all need to do universally as humans, and especially for perinatal women. So that is really my passion, is to really empower women to work on themselves, ideally preconception, and how that can then translate into a healthy pregnancy, birth, and motherhood from that self-work, essentially, right? So we're going to talk about getting emotionally prepared for motherhood. And I want you to start off with just sharing a little bit about yourself and who you are and what you do regarding emotional resolution.
Yeah, very well. But my name is Cedric Bertelli. I am originally from France. I've been in the States for more than half my life, since 2001, and my accent is still pretty thick.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you for noticing. And the first part of my career was very different. I started working for the Ritz-Carlton. I was working in restaurants, in the kitchen, and I did that until 2009. In 2009, I decided to shift career and to focus on what really I was passionate about, which is emotions. And working in big hotels and restaurants, you realize that when you manage people, you don't manage people, you manage their emotions in order for
That's
them to feel
right.
happy at work and to be in the best self to deal with guests, etc. And myself, I was dealing with some anxiety, low range depression, a lot of anger, self-directed anger. So I always was interested to work with emotion. 2009, I went to France and started studying what I'm doing now, basically. And
Can I interrupt you? What was your breakthrough in 2009 where you're like, I got to walk away from my old career and do something different? Was there something specific?
Yes, absolutely. In 2009, that's when, the economy went down. And as in my position, I had to take drastic decisions in order to make numbers, but I was involving also cutting hours, and people were losing their benefits, and I couldn't do it anymore. I just could not.
It was miserable.
I just I wasn't in integrity anymore. I couldn't do that to people that I cared about, and so at some point there's nothing I could do in my position to help them, and I was disgusted with what I was asked to do.
Yes.
So it was enough. I just couldn't do it anymore.
Okay.
And that's when I decided that I needed a drastic change and do something that feed my soul, really, and that feel congruent with what I want to offer to the world.
Yes.
Yeah, and also being put in this position brought my anxiety to another level. When you wake up every morning and you do something that get you in the gut, and you feel like it's not right for your people, and it put me in a funk. So it was time for me to do something else.
Got it. So then you went to France.
I went to France, and I studied. I joined a research program, and I started studying emotional regulation using physical sensations. And I worked with them from 2009 to 2018. In 2011, I came back to the US and I started teaching for them. In 2019, we developed a process called EmRes, emotional resolution, which is what we're going to talk about today together. We developed EmRes with Jacques Fumex and other professionals. In 2019, we built the Emotional Health Institute. We created the Emotional Health Institute, which is a nonprofit that operates out of the USA, France, and now Japan since 2023. The Emotional Health Institute is here to teach the body of work that EmRes is. EmRes stands for emotional resolution. And what emotional resolution does is specifically that, which is helping people to resolve disruptive emotional pattern based on our understanding on how the body, the brain, construct disruptive emotional pattern.
Fascinating. So you were in a science lab doing like experiments and research?
Not in a science lab. It was very much, how can I say, pragmatically in contact with clients. So it wasn't a lab. It was through sessions, through appointment with people and observation. So you can create a lab, I guess, but it wasn't a part of a hospital.
Mm-hmm. Very cool. And I want to welcome Andrea, right, who's joined us here. You want to talk a little bit about who you are and how you're related to emotional resolution?
Sure. Yeah. So I'm Andrea List, and I'm formally trained as an occupational therapist. That was my first, gateway into looking at health and wellness and wanting to help support other people in that way. And then through the process, I found a really strong passion for mental health. And so my career took me into inpatient psychiatry in Minneapolis, Minnesota, which is where I was living and working at the time. And then through some various connections, I learned about emotional resolution. And at a time, actually, my son had just been born, and I really didn't think I was up for learning any new modalities or approaches because I was working full time and also had a newborn.
Wow.
It was so compelling that I I had to go and learn. And so I think our last in-person class was maybe in March or February 2020. And so I took the trip down to Dallas with my just turned 1-year-old, and we went and I learned it, and it was just life-changing for me. And I became certified later that year. And I began using it a little bit with my patients that I was seeing in the hospital too, with various pretty impactful results. And so I ended up doing a little pilot program just before I left my job last year with one of the providers who helped me identify patients who would be a good fit for the work, and have very good results from that. So really what I've experienced personally, it was been transformative, but then also being able to see how it's helped people with really significant trauma and significant, I say, emotional difficulties, people who need to be hospitalized, to see that it can impact sort of everyone along the spectrum in really positive, life-changing ways. So yeah, I'm all in with this work for sure.
You were doing this work with inpatient psychiatric patients?
Yes. Yep.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was something that I was lucky enough as an occupational therapist. I would get to work with people one-on-one on occasion. Most of my work was facilitating groups, but through under the umbrella of sensory modulation and helping people with their senses, and emotional resolution is really about the eighth sense of interoception. And so being able to kind of bridge that gap between occupational therapy, sensory modulation, and emotional resolution, and actually fit really nicely. So just connecting people to this internal sense. And so it gave me some ability to use that with the people who I saw there on my last
That's powerful.
There. Yeah, it was really fantastic.
So what is it? What is emotional resolution? How does it work?
Should I take that?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So what is emotional resolution? Emotional resolution is has been crafted on the understanding on how the brain, the body construct emotional difficulties. We know today, we have an understanding, and we will learn more later, but we have an understanding now on how the brain construct disruptive emotional pattern. And it's quite simple, actually. We know today that at the origin of every single one of our emotional difficulties is always the same type of event. There is always what we're going to call a trauma that is at the origin of our emotional difficulties. Now, what is a trauma? A trauma is an instant that holds too much stress, physical or emotional, for us to take on at the instant when it's lived. That's what a trauma is. So what I will experience as a trauma as a 42-year-old man would be very different than what my daughter, who is 2 years old, is going to experience as a trauma. It's going to be different than what a baby in utero is going to experience as a trauma. A trauma is just an instant that has too much stress for us to take on. During a moment of trauma, there is a natural mechanism happening, a defense mechanism happening that we're going to call dissociation, when the cognitive brain is formed. If the cognitive brain is not formed yet, we are permeable to everything anyway. But during an instant of trauma, there's dissociation. The prefrontal cortex is becoming inhibited, so we don't suffer too much during this instant. Mm-hmm. Now, we need to have few numbers in mind. What you and I are gathering as information is about 2,000 bits of information per second. That's what we cognitively gather. 2,000 bits of information per second. Our subconscious mind, at the same time, has a potential to gather 400 billion bits of information per second.
Wow.
Cognitively, we're processing data at a speed of about 150 miles per hour. Subconsciously, there is a processing power of 150,000 miles per hour. These are numbers that came out through Penn University in 2012. You can find these numbers everywhere on the internet, and they change, they vary, but it's always on the same scale. What is happening during an instant of trauma is the cognitive mind that is here for filtering information is shut down. So during this moment of stress, your brain, your body is like a vortex open to information. When there's dissociation, your body is gathering all the informations available to it. What you smell, what you sense, what you taste, what you hear, but not in a linear way. It just take all this information in very high definition and gather it all at once. During this very instant of dissociation, your brain is also gathering the information of the physical sensation that you're feeling in your body at that very instant of trauma. Right. Are you with me so far?
I think so.
Mhm. So that's one thing. Now, we need to know that one of the main jobs of the brain is to predict. Our brain constantly predict. You can see that with food, for example. If you're having one time a Granny Smith apple, you eat your apple, you're having a first experience, the juiciness, the crunch, the acidity. And next time you take a Granny Smith apple, before you even bite in your apple, your brain is going to predict what physical sensations you're about to have based on your past experience. We're predicting constantly. It is the same thing for emotional difficulties. How do you know that you have an emotional difficulty? How do you know that you feel anxious, for example? What do you think?
Who, me?
Yeah, or anyone.
So what you're saying is, how do people know they're actually dealing with some emotional challenges? They're going to know that through the sensation of their body, typically, right?
Absolutely. They know that.
They feel like nervous in their stomach, or their breathing changes, these types of things that are parasympathetic or sympathetic, right?
Absolutely. It's what we call interoception, right? We're having physical sensations that we conceptualize or contextualize, and we have an emotion, right? An emotion is physical sensations put in a context of life, and we put a label to it, so to speak. Now, those physical sensations, what we understand today very clearly is that the physical sensation that let us know that we're having an emotion were the same physical sensation that were felt by the body during a specific trauma.
Okay.
So a trauma happened, and we live 10th of quote-unquote trauma in our life. Trauma happened at some point. At some point in life, the body is exposed to one or several elements that it recognized being present in one of his past trauma. Automatically and instantly, the body is going to generate the physical sensation that it is expecting to feel. So it is going to generate the physical sensation that you're about to feel based on what was felt during a past event. Those physical sensations is what we call interoception.
Okay, I've never heard that word, interoception.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And you're referring to the subconscious mind, correct?
Yes, absolutely. To the subconscious, to the subconscious, absolutely.
And this has essentially formed our first 7 years of our life.
Oh, this is happening our whole life. If I live a trauma now, like if I go into a car accident, for example, or if I'm attacked in the street or whatever, a trauma can happen anytime in life.
But the formation of the subconscious mind is what I was referring to. The
formation of the subconscious mind, difficult to say. I think the subconscious mind is active very, very early on, very close to conception, and then it's active in us until death.
Right. It's active, but I'm saying like essentially these original, I know you can have an original trauma after 7, but a lot of them occur 7 and under. And I would agree in utero as well.
I agree. I will even say that a lot of our trauma happened during the first 1,000 days.
Can you speak to that actually? What do you mean by that? 1,000 days, is that including pregnancy?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
During the, let's say the 2 first years of life, meaning from conception, 2 first years of
okay.
Yeah, it's a wonderful, so to speak, garden for experiencing trauma. We are completely vulnerable. In a way, we are finishing pregnancy out of the womb. We are the only species as mammals that cannot do anything basically a year after we're out of the womb. We are completely exposed to the elements. We are completely exposed to our environment in complete vulnerability during the first year after birth. So everything, I mean, you both attended birth, for example, you know how traumatic it is, the birth for the mom sometimes, sure, of course, but for the baby as well. The change of temperature, the noise, the light. And then later on, once we are with the baby, I mean, the baby can be too hot, too cold, too hungry. Everything is raw. It's raw sensorial information that can be extremely overwhelming. So the environment of a pregnant woman and the environment for the mom after birth and the baby for the next 2 years after that is extremely important.
So for women listening, what would you recommend as they're, let's say, either they're pregnant or they've recently given birth? And I think, as moms, it's really like, what can I do for my children, right? Like, what can I do to help support their emotional state? Which I'm assuming you're going to say is support your own first, but what do you have to say to that, Andrea?
Andrea, go for it.
Yeah, I would agree with you, actually. Definitely starting with supporting ourselves first. And I think sometimes that's hard to do because also practically doesn't always feel like there's space for that or time, especially in those first few months after a baby's born. But the babies also, they can pick up on how we're feeling too. And so I've noticed this with my own children. In fact, even I have a 4-year-old son, and the other day he's like, I'm mad because you're mad. And I'm like, yes, that is actually
it's totally true.
But now he has the language to be able to tell me that, where, when he was brand new, he didn't have the capacity to really express that. So, but the experience.
But still felt it. Yeah, he still felt those same emotions. Yes.
Yeah. So I think, we live in a society and culture, for better or for worse, where women and mothers are expected to do so much and take on so much. And we don't really have that natural village built in anymore. So we often get put to the bottom of the list. But in an ideal circumstance, there are people supporting this phase where the mom or the new mother, new parents even, it doesn't have to just be the mother.
Right.
Everyone in that family can actually take care of their emotions at that. And my preferred way is emotional resolution because of how it's it can be so fast. It can happen so quick. The resolution can be within minutes, sometimes seconds. And then I know that I'm actually healing that original trauma. So the next time I'm faced with that same trigger, it won't be triggering anymore. So I'm not having to continually cope with that situation or try and push down how I'm feeling. I can actually just know I'm going to be done with this. So it's worth taking the 90 seconds to a few minutes or less in that moment, or going back to it later. And because then I know that I'm actually doing really profound healing work for myself, but it's going to benefit my kids too.
It is. So what does that look like? Can you just walk me through what you're in let's say the baby's crying.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You're really stressed out. What do you do?
Baby's crying and I'm really stressed out. So I have a 18-month-old, or I guess she's 20 months now. So I can connect back to this time. I will do my best to attend to her first. If there is like a physical reason why she's crying, right? Like if she needs my comfort or she's hungry, diaper change.
That's an emotional reason, but she still needs you, right?
Exactly. Yep. And so if I know that she's feeling safe, then I can feel safe, because the whole foundation for this work is that in order for the subconscious to know that this isn't warranting such a big reaction from me, is that it has to feel safe. So I need to make sure that I feel safe first. And part of that is making sure my baby's safe. And so I'm feeling safe. I'm feeling like she's okay. And then I'm checking in with my body. What are those sensations that I'm feeling in that moment? And that's my gate. That's my doorway into that resolution. And being in that moment, depending on the strength or the severity or the intensity, watching those sensations change in your body. And I can encourage you to do this, or anyone listening, just anytime you feel that stress, if you have that minute, just out of curiosity, not with any expectation, just check in and watch what your body is actually doing. And it's pretty fascinating to watch how the sensations, they tend to move and change. They can become intense. They tend to fade. And and then there's sort of a stillness and calmness that can happen at the end of it. And then that's it. And sometimes,
so it's observation. You're observing your physical sensations, and are you just at peace with them? Like, you're not resisting them.
Correct.
You're not saying, I wish this would go away.
Correct. Yeah. Thinking about, and I come from both sides of the healing spectrum, where I think of not necessarily healing spectrum, but wanting to feel better spectrum of like, I'm just going to ignore this. I'm going to push it down. I'm going to scroll my phone. I'm going to go outside. I'm going to go for a walk. All of those things can help the feeling go away, which is nice. It's relief, right? So that's really important to have those tools to help it go away. That doesn't necessarily prevent it from coming back. Similarly, on the other end, I do some intuitive work too. I like to work with doing some different healing techniques. But if I say I bring in light, or I do some other types of what I consider more healing techniques, not to say that it couldn't have a permanent resolution, but it could be just another way to kind of temporarily
Like a bandage is what you're
Yeah.
saying.
Yep. More of like a temporary fix, but that the subconscious hasn't gotten a chance to resolve. The body hasn't gotten a chance to fully resolve. It's just going to come back again later when presented with the same trigger. So
I guess I'm still not understanding the resolution part here.
yeah. Can I take that one, Cedric? Is that okay?
Do you want to? Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I can take this one.
I understand the importance of it. And I'm just like, what are you exactly doing to resolve permanent? You're saying a permanent resolution for that original trauma.
Yeah. Yes. Absolutely. And so because, I think we're really, myself, I guess I shouldn't say we, I really like to always try and understand why I'm feeling what I'm feeling. But what I've learned through this work is the subconscious, as Cedric said, works so fast that there can be some sort of seemingly benign trigger that is what's causing these sensations. But I think that it might be like I might attribute some other reason to it that isn't accurate. So we don't have to understand why. All we have to do is feel and pay attention. And so, for example, one that I'm currently working through is sometimes my son, he likes to bite his nails. And he makes this grinding, this viscerally grinding sound. And there's just this like irritation that comes up in me, like, oh, please stop. Please make this stop. And then so I'm finding that there's probably several different triggers with this because I've resolved, like I'll go through and I'll feel the sensations and then I feel calm. The next time it happens, I would have expected that, this just actually happened today, that I would have expected not to feel any sensations or any annoyance anymore, but there was a different emotion that came up this next time. And so all I did was just feel into my body and wait for everything to resolve and to calm. And I expect now that it's happened twice. The next time my son does this, I won't feel any irritation at all. And
would you feel a concern that your son's presenting with a sign of anxiety? There's as a parent?
Yep, that's a difference. Yep, it allows. So what I've also found is by
it's more like the prefrontal cortex that's operating. Then
yes, then I can actually look at what's happening instead of just being like in my own discomfort of like, please make this stop. I'm uncomfortable. Now I can be like, oh, let's take a look and see what's happening with you. This is more important.
So you're able to show up, I guess, more fully as a mother.
Yes. Yeah, so many of my resolutions I've noticed when I'm working with my kids is it's all like it's about me and not actually about what they're doing. And so I can give another quick example just from yesterday. We were at a music class and my son wandered off and he wasn't wanting to participate at all. And I was feeling this like, you got to come here and participate. Like, whether I paid for this or it's expected of you. And once I was actually able to resolve it in the class, and I was like, he just wants to be by the trees right now. And that's great. Why does he have to come do what I want him to do? And I was able to just be like, yeah, he's fine to do that. And I didn't have to then be worried about that or focused on that. And I could just now be present with my daughter and do what I need to do for her and know that he's having a good time playing by the trees. It really wasn't about him playing by the trees. It was about my reaction.
Right.
I felt uncomfortable with it.
Right. Wow, that's huge. That's a really great example. It was very clear. And I think that's universal. I think any parent, but especially moms and especially moms that are doing a lot of the childcare, this is a daily thing, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's a daily thing. So I guess I'm still trying to understand the resolution is you're just becoming aware of the sensation and that's allowing it to heal itself.
Yeah, it's basically communicating to the subconscious mind, this is no longer an unsafe situation. I am safe in this situation. You don't have to generate these sensations in my body anymore, which, we call them names like anger, anxiety, sadness, but really at the base, at the foundation, it's these sensations is where it starts. So you're basically communicating to the subconscious, I don't need to feel this way right now. This doesn't warrant this. So next time you see this thing that triggered you, you don't have to feel triggered anymore. It's okay.
And you're also really then getting out of that oversympathetic fight or flight, like you said, like your body thinks you're in danger. And the reality is that you're not. You're safe, your child's safe. And so it's irrational response, but it's happening regardless, right? So that's what I see in my practice is people oversympathetic, including children. Yes. And recognizing that imbalance long term, right, is extremely harmful for the health of the body and the mind, where you're constantly feeling stressed.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And I also will meet people that are anxious and they're like, I don't know why I'm anxious. Like my life is good. Everything's going well. I mean, there's also people that are like, I'm under a lot of stress and I know it, right? So there's these two different camps. Like, okay, I'm dealing with this thing right now. I know it's finite, but it's real and it's intense. But there's still like, it's easier to wrap your head around it because you know what that is. It's harder when you're like, I feel anxious and I have no idea why.
Yeah.
And those are the cases that I find are very much linked to early childhood, because these are things that we can't remember consciously, but are still creating these real sensations and are very much limiting the full potential of someone's vitality.
Absolutely. You got, absolutely. Absolutely.
So this is a really powerful tool. Go ahead.
Yeah. To go back to the resolution and why it works is because when you do your EmRes, you allow your body to go to the full length of the prediction, right? Usually when you take a breath or you have a glass of water, when you feel uncomfortable emotionally, you shut down the emotion, you cope with the emotion. With EmRes, you allow the body, you feel the sensations. It's a bit different from watching, but you feel the sensations until the end of the prediction. At the end of the sensorial prediction,
prediction? I don't really know what you mean by that.
The sensations changing in the body.
Okay.
So the sensations, as Andrea described earlier, when you pay attention to the sensations, you're going to feel that the sensations change inside. That's a sensorial prediction. It's going
from uncomfortable to comfortable.
That's right.
Is that what you're talking about? Okay.
Yeah. And from uncomfortable to comfortable, the sensations are going to change in the body. And when you do your EmRes, so to speak, your resolution, you feel the sensations as they're changing until they dissipate. Once the body goes through the whole length of the prediction, which takes seconds really. At the end of the prediction, the subconscious mind, the subconscious brain is expecting to be hit by some kind of danger, a danger similar to what happened during an original trauma. But at the end of the process, when you feel all the sensations until the end, nothing happens to you. You're safe and sound. From this very second, the emotion is resolved. Your prediction has been updated.
Oh, interesting. And like you said, it doesn't even take a long period. So it's interesting back to, it's this self-protection mechanism where there's trauma. So the body just like inhibits and block. It's like its own bandage, right? And we also even know like only 10% of information gets through our spinal cord to register in our brain, right? So there's a lot of suppression that is somewhat needed to just function, right? But when it comes to these patterns, there's power with not interrupting the sensation and allowing it to go through its full cycle.
Yes, absolutely. That's where, and doing that in a place where you feel safe. If you do not feel safe while you're trying to resolve your emotional difficulty, it's not going to work. It's important.
It's not going to work. Yeah.
And it's not going to work. It's important that your body feels safe. And to jump a little bit on what Andrea was describing, that was brilliant. It is that we taught EmRes to parents and educators for a while. And we realized, especially teaching them in schools here in the Bay Area to teachers, that the teachers were doing the EmRes with the children only when the teacher, were feeling triggered by the child behavior or the child.
Oh, they needed it for themselves first.
That's right. Except that they were doing it, they knew how to do it on themselves, but they were not doing that. They were trying to do EmRes on the child while the child was having, I don't know, a strong emotional reaction. That doesn't work because at this point, the adult is trying to take control on the child because the child reaction is making us feel bad. That's what Andrea explained very, very well. When she felt all stressed or like worried that her son wasn't playing, if she went on and tried to do a resolution on her son, assuming that he was having a difficulty going, it would not have gone anywhere. But she stopped. She took care of her own sensations, her own emotion, and then she had a clear, congruent vision on what happened. Her son didn't need any resolution. Her son was just fine the way it was.
Right.
So that's the first work, I think, for parents and educators, is to learn that we've got to take care of ourselves first, of our own emotion, of our own fears, of our own assumption, before we can even help our children.
Yes, definitely. And I'm just thinking about how this would impact so many relationships, your intimate relationship, relationships at work, sales, right? Everything is emotional state and how we can manage our emotional state. And this is a tool that we didn't necessarily learn in school, and we maybe didn't learn it from our parents. And it's years and years and it's interesting, even like traditional talk therapy is not really getting to this root that you're talking about.
It can't, because you cannot cognitively go to the root of it.
Yes. It's unconscious.
It's unconscious.
That's why you'll be like, I don't know what's going on here. Even if there is a big trauma, there's that trauma, you still can't really fully heal from it if you're just talking about it. There's limitations for that. I mean, I think there's power in it, and you need additional tools, right? And there's a lot of great tools out there. I was sharing earlier about psyche, which I use in my practice. EFT is another great one. You had mentioned, Andrea, you have other tools that you work with. So how does EmRes compare to some other healing modalities for the subconscious mind and subconscious beliefs?
I find for me in my practice personally and professionally that it's kind of opens the door for everything else to become more effective. And so when even with psyche or body talk was the first one that I had really learned, which is another quantum healing tool looking at belief systems. When you can bring up a belief system in somebody, they can actually feel it in their bodies. And so if you can feel it in your body, you can release it. Right. So I find that it's just a catalyst. It pairs and partners so well with so many other things. Because really this is an innate capacity we all have. I'm not when I see a client for body talk per se, even though their body's the one doing the healing, it would feel like I'm doing something for them, right? Like I'm doing it to them. I'm observing, I'm seeing the healing potential there. But with EmRes, it's really it's all in the person. It's all there. It's, I'm not doing anything to you. It's that person's body is just healing as it naturally can do. We all can naturally do this. That's why this is so powerful, is you don't need anybody else. I say that with also it's really nice sometimes to be seen by somebody and help them support you through the really intense things. Yeah.
We were talking about that earlier with psyche. I'll work with people, but then they can go get trained and learn how to do it on themselves. Exactly. So there's an empowerment where if you wake up, I'm I feel a little off today. You don't have to call and come into my office and pay me money. You can do your own, balances, right?
Absolutely.
So it's nice to have that tool. What is the youngest age you can teach this type of program to? When can kids learn how to do this with themselves? Not with a teacher or a parent, but with themselves. How old?
Because I'm kind of excited about this work, and I tried it on my son when he was 2, which was too young.
That makes sense.
Yeah. But it was kind of more of a curiosity, can we do this together? He's really embraced it. I feel like when he hit 4, this is my personal situation. Every kid might be different. When he hit 4, it seemed like it really started to click for him. And we do it together now, actually a lot, quite frequently. And it's been really fun. Even sometimes he'll be like, Mom, where do you feel that in your body? He'll cue me because he knows that. So Cedric, you probably have a more a broader answer, but in my own personal experience, 4 has been a great age for them to start doing it on their own.
No, I think it's a great answer. And as you say, it depends in the kids and it's never too early to demonstrate, to do it in front of the children.
Yes.
That's something that
model.
I say. Model it. And so it becomes a norm, a normality. Often in school, even very early in preschool, they teach our children to cope with emotion. They teach them to breathe, different technique. And of course, it's very useful, no doubt. But it also allows the emotion to stay in the body. So I think the earlier we can introduce them to, and even if they cannot do it right away by themselves, the better it is. So yes, as Andrea said, 4 is fantastic, and on and on.
And what about if you're Andrea, I don't know if your partner is on board with practicing this as well, or you're modeling for that person?
I have a story. He's experienced the benefit, so he does know, and he will use it, and not as maybe enthusiastically as me. But there was one time it was so satisfying for me, if I'm quite honest, where my son, he was upset about something. And then I think it was during trying to get pajamas on, right? Some regular routine thing. And they just had this funny little dynamic almost every night. Something would happen that would kind of trigger this thing. And I just had my husband, I was like, here, I'll just take it. And I just said, using my son's words, I was like, are you feeling mean right now? He's like, yeah. It's like, put your hand on the mean. And he was able to resolve it. And within 30 seconds or less, he was calm. And then he goes up to my husband. He's like, Papa, where are you feeling the angry in your body? So then and then I could just see my husband's face like, because he knows that this work really works. Sometimes it's hard to do it. And what's also great about this is sometimes I know I'm choosing not to resolve something because I kind of want to feel that too, right? Like, I'm like, I'm feeling kind of angry right now. And I want to feel angry. And then I know later on I'm probably going to pay for it. And I probably should have just resolved it in the moment. But we get the choice. We get the decision. Do I want to resolve this or not? And so, and my husband and I, and, we go through times where we're really working through it together. And other times where, it's obvious one of us maybe could do a little bit more. So, yeah.
And what's interesting, when we're talking about the original trauma, let's say it is something that happened in utero. When you're doing this work, you're not conscious of when the original trauma necessarily was.
Yeah, you don't have to know.
And it doesn't matter, is what you're saying.
And you don't need to label the emotion either. And so sometimes we feel things and I don't have a word for it. I don't know what this is, but I feel uncomfortable. So you don't have to know. You don't even have to use the labels that we use for
the mean, the anger, the sadness, the grief.
It can help ground. If you do know it, it can kind of help ground. I found that's I'm mad, and that's right into my body. But sometimes it's I don't know what this is. Yeah, and it doesn't matter.
Fascinating. Well, do we have any last thoughts that we want to? You actually speak, Andrea, a little bit about the program that you created.
Oh,
please.
I would love to. Yeah. Thank you. The topic is obviously a really rich one. I could talk about this all day long. So thanks for bringing it back. So this was an idea that originated when my son was about a year and a half, and I was thinking about wanting to have another child. And Cedric, through the Emotional Health Institute, he's just brilliant at connecting us with different people who do different kind of healing somatic work. And he connected us with a midwife. I don't know where she's from. Is she from France or Belgium?
I think she's French. She operates in France and maybe Belgium and Switzerland. I think so.
Yeah.
In that area.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anique Delamont, and she does this really specific program called prenatal bonding, and it's a really specific outline for how to do it. But it just got me thinking about is there a way we could do something like that and create something to support this process, this transformation that happens in pregnancy. And that kind of got me collaborating with another EmRes practitioner. Her name is Heather Rutowski. And we decided that we wanted to try and create something. So basically, our program now consists of, there's three main parts to it. There is the doing regular EmRes sessions just to help reduce emotional stress during pregnancy. That's really important, as we know how stress can impact the health of both the mom and the baby. And so the most we can do to reduce stress, the better for everybody involved. And then there is something we call our bonding sessions. And I wanted to talk a little bit about this because I think when we think of bonding, just through our culture and society, we think of I'm going to do something to feel more connected to my baby. I'll rub my belly, I'll sing my baby songs, I'll talk to my baby. All of those things are amazing. What our intention is actually through the bonding is to open up a channel of communication between baby and the mom. And this has to be kind of under the assumption that the baby is conscious in the womb, right? So some of your listeners, it could be, I'm not trying to make it controversial at all. Not everybody will resonate with that. Not everyone feels that way, and that's okay for everyone else to decide. But my personal experience.
Is this specifically for after the 4th month of pregnancy?
No, even before. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. Even before. I think I did it as, so I'll get to that there, but I've experienced before even. That there can be that two-way communication. And why this is so powerful is because once that communication is established, it doesn't have to go away once the baby's born. and that you can keep that connection, that communication open. And so it's about helping women connect and also not just share messages with their babies, but also receive messages from their babies. So I ended up getting pregnant about 3 months into this program. I've been working with a few women. And so I was excited to try this out for myself and see. And I'll just share one story. My husband and I decided to find out the sex of the baby before, but we were going to keep it a secret. So anyone listening who knows me, I guess we did find out ahead of time. We made it seem that we didn't. And I was just curious, like the day before the ultrasound, I was like, all right, show me like what I was asked my baby. I was like, all right, what do you, are you going to have girl reproductive organs or male, like boy or girl? And because I had kind of felt like maybe a girl earlier on, but I had two really intuitive people tell me they thought I was having a boy. So I was really curious to see. And I just got this image of a flower opening. That could mean anything to anybody, but to me, it meant girl. Like that was a really, like, it felt like a clear image to me. And sure enough, I found out the next day that we were having a girl. And so that's just one example. Not that everyone is going to use it to find out the sex of their baby, but that there is the possibility to have that communication is what that showed me. There is that connection.
And I think what I love about it is this is not just like an in utero pregnancy tool. This is something you use the rest of your life as a mother.
Yes.
I know those first 9 months postpartum, you're very intimately connected with your baby, but that connection is still ongoing.
Absolutely.
That mother-child bond.
Yes, absolutely. And so,
or even father-child bond. I know I'm really talking about moms, but you're a dad, and I'm sure you use that connection with your child as well.
Yeah, 100%. My connection to my daughter is it's beautiful. It's precious. It's beautiful. But it will never be like a mom. It's different as well. It's different as well. There's this 9 month when they completely immersed in this how can I say that, bath of sensations of yes, it's very sensorial and they're so permeable. It's almost like the mom going through them and vice versa. So it's a special bonding as well.
Yes, it is. So it's specifically EmRes for peaceful pregnancy. And do women start with you even preconception?
You could. I haven't had any experience with that. But as far as removing blockages or emotional blockages, or even removing is not the right word. There's so many emotions that can come up in the path of getting pregnant.
Yes.
I mean,
so it could potentially impact fertility.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. And I just wanted to speak
healing from miscarriages and pregnancy loss.
Absolutely. Like there's really no end to this, and this whole spectrum of life, right? Starting preconception all the way to the end, in any scenario, again, because this is something that we can naturally do once it's like exercising that muscle, like, oh yeah, my body actually can take care of me. I can heal through these things. And then it just opens up so many other opportunities for really beautiful things to happen in life too. And so one more thing I realized I kind of went off on a tangent. There's a third part that's really important for our program, which is the birth preparation sessions. One thing I've learned from from Anik, the midwife, and other people is that it's really important to prepare the baby and mom for the process of giving birth, because that separation can be traumatic. And so there's actually these really beautiful meditative scripts that we do with the women to help prepare the baby for what's about to happen, to get them ready for their journey. And so that's the third component to the program.
And that's done during the third trimester?
Correct. Yep. Starting at about ideally week like 34, 35, which everyone's pregnancy length might be different. So things might shift depending on the needs of the person. But it's, and as far as one more thing too, with the baby bonding piece, those of you who I feel like we're so disconnected from our intuition in our society and culture, or not everyone is, I guess I was, that it can also remove blocks to feeling like you're not intuitive, like the self-doubt that can come up too. So we can clear a lot of that. So that way you can trust what it's coming in is actually for you. And so it can really create a really
That is
beautiful
so important. I think almost every episode I do, we speak about trusting your intuition as a woman and a mother and all the decisions you have to make during pregnancy and regarding your birth and then parenting. It's a lot. Decisions for yourself, decisions for your child. And really not making those decisions out of fear, right? And being just very clear that, when you get the fear out of the way, then it's much easier to make the correct decision for yourself and your child.
100%. Absolutely.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for both coming on the show today. I really enjoyed this conversation.
Thank you.
Our pleasure. Yeah, thank you.
I hope you enjoyed today's episode. I really enjoyed connecting with Cedric and Andrea. I always am very interested in learning more about addressing limiting beliefs in our subconscious mind and different tools to help us access those beliefs that we are not conscious of and then release things that are no longer serving us, that are typically from our early childhood or from traumatic events that occurred throughout our life. And this is one of those great tools using EmRes or emotional resolution to really empower an individual to remove the sticky blocks that are inhibiting us from fully living our optimal life. And if you are pregnant or a new mother and you're feeling you need extra support in that area, it would be a wonderful opportunity to connect with Andrea and have her coaching through the EmRes process. You can go to the website emotionalhealthinstitute.org, go to the practitioner directory and look for Andrea Liss, where you can schedule a session with her and connect with her and learn how to use this process. And what I love is once you learn how to use it with the coaching, then you're able to use it on a daily basis at home with your child. And that's really empowering because we as moms are always wanting to improve ourselves and improve our parenting. But sometimes these patterns can be really deep and old and stuck, and they can really inhibit us from parenting the way we want to. So this is one way to help you grow as a mother and also help you feel better physically as well as emotionally.